What to do if a debt collector sues you. And this is coming directly from the FTC, Federal Trade Commission.gov. This is where this article can be found. Now, I will say this, if you stick around to the end, I have some tools that can help you take your credit to the next level and position you to have assistance along your credit restoration journey. That being said, let's dive in. If a debt collector files a lawsuit against you to collect the debt, it is important to respond either yourself or through an attorney. And remember, you have rights when it comes to dealing with debt collectors. Here are some answers to some of the common questions you might have about the process. And it's important to understand that you have rights, because so many times a person feels at a disadvantage when they receive some type of lawsuit or some type of summons. They feel at a disadvantage automatically, feeling like that person is right, not knowing that you do have rights, and in many cases they operate unlawfully. And if you use the laws to your advantage, then it positions you to be empowered. That being said, a debt collector is suing me. Now what? That's the question that many people out there have. Now, getting sued by a debt collector can be stressful, and you might not know where to start. The most important thing is to respond, not to ignore, because otherwise it can be assumed as acceptance. That's a whole nother thing. That might mean writing a timely response and showing up to court on the date stated in the court papers, even if you think you don't owe the debt. Now, when it comes to not owing the debt, I will say this. It's a difference between if it's a creditor that you signed an agreement with versus a third party debt collector. You did not go into an agreement with that debt collector. So you did not have any involvement with that individual in comparison to a creditor, a direct bank that you might have had a relationship with. So understand the difference between the two. By responding to the lawsuit, either yourself or through an attorney, you're requiring the debt collector to make their case and protecting your rights. If you show up to court, the debt collector will have to prove that you owe the debt, prove that the amount of the debt is correct, prove that they have the legal right to sue you to collect on the debt. Responding or showing up in court might help you settle the debt, because some collectors would rather settle than go through a long and expensive lawsuit. Now, they hit on some key things, putting them in a position to have to prove that you owe the debt, and prove that the amount of the debt is correct, and prove that they have the legal right to sue you. Puts them in a situation, because many times they can't prove that you owe the debt because the debt might not have been originally attached to you. The balance of the amount owed might be off, and sometimes they're operating out of their jurisdiction. They don't even have the ability to sue in the area that you reside. So as a result, sometimes they're doing that unlawfully, and it's key and important to know that. So responding and showing up in court might help you settle the debt, because they don't want to go through the headache of going through a full lawsuit, and they're expecting a person to just settle just off of fear alone. So whatever you do, don't ignore the lawsuit. Even if you don't think you owe that debt, responding to a debt collector's lawsuit will likely put you in a better position, cost you less in fees, and give you more control over how you repay the debt. So if you get sued by a debt collector, answer the lawsuit, which you may have to do in writing or by showing up to court, or both. The legal papers you got will tell you what to do and give you deadlines. Look over your records about the debt and any information you may have gotten from the collector, including the validation information that debt collectors must send you. Number 3, review the lawsuit claims carefully. It's the collector's responsibility to prove their case, not yours. They got to prove that they had a right to collect. A lot of times we might go and talk too much and over explain. No, the burden of proof is on them. So don't over explain yourself. Say, hey, validate that you had the ability to even collect on this debt. What documents do you have? What signatures of mine do you have? Not some screenshot. What do you have that proves and justifies you had the ability to collect on this debt? So that's a matter of really asserting yourself and making sure that you understand that the burden of proof is on them. They had a responsibility to prove their case versus you just over offering information that might be giving too much insight or too many details that may not benefit you. They must show that you're the person who owes the debt amount is accurate, including any interest or fees, and you owe the debt to them, not to someone else. If the debt is owed, make sure the time for the collector to sue hasn't already expired. This is called the time barred debt, and that can be looked up, or if you find this article, all of the blue words or hyperlinks that you can click and get redirected. And understanding the statute of limitations as well is going to be key when it comes to lawsuits, because the statute of limitation basically is the time frame that they're able to sue, and it's different depending on the account and the state that you reside. So that's going to be key as well. I may do a separate video just going over different statute of limitations across all states, and it varies based on the accounts and the state that you're in. Basically what I just said. So what happens if you don't respond? Ignoring legal notices and papers won't make the lawsuit go away. And despite what you may have seen in TV shows, you can't stop things by refusing to accept delivery or service of the lawsuit. In fact, the case can go ahead without you. That means the court can rule without hearing your side, and the debt collector could win by default because you didn't show up. So don't ignore it. Make them prove it. If the court rules against you and orders you to pay the debt collector may be able to garnish or take money from your wages or bank account, or put a lien on your property like your home. The debt collector can also ask the court to award them additional money for collection costs, interest, and even attorney fees. A judgment will likely show up on your credit report and might make it harder to get credit in the future. That can affect whether you get a job, insurance, phone, or home. So it's key to really use these things to a T in terms of making them prove and using the rules to your advantage so it doesn't get to this point. Where can you get help? Going to court can feel overwhelming to do alone, but there are options to get legal help, including getting free or reduced fee legal help. If you have a low income, to find a legal aid organization near you, use the Legal Service Corporation's search tool that's available at this hyperlink as well. We also have a service, a DIY service, that if you get the VIP version, it includes some discount legal as well. So some options out here if you're willing to dive into it. I just wanted to give you, this information. And then if you stick around to the end, like I stated, I give you the ability to access some tools along your credit restoration journey. Or you can search for a pro bono, which is free legal help program using the American Bar Association Pro Bono Resource Directory. Looking up free online answers to debt collection questions from an attorney in your state. Hiring an attorney if you can afford it. Find a lawyer in your state using the Bar Association's directory. And be sure to ask if they have experience with consumer law. This is critical. You don't want to just hire any lawyer, because just because they're a lawyer doesn't mean that they practice things that fit your scenario. Them being or having experience in the consumer law department as an attorney is going to be key. Very key. So you want to see if they have experience with consumer law, debt collection defense, or the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, which is the FDCPA. If they have experience in those areas, then it's a good chance that they're going to be able to see what's going on and position you to be on the winning end, because they understand a lot of these entities operate unlawfully. Another question people often ask: where do I report a debt collector for breaking the law? Debt collectors must follow the federal FDCPA when contacting you about a debt. Report any problems you have with the debt collector to the FTC at reportfraud.ftc.gov, your state attorney general's office, which is a key piece to the puzzle as well, and the CFPB. And you can report and file these different complaints through the CFPB, and a lot of times that escalates it through to the FTC as well. But these are all of the things that you can do if you want to report them. Many states have their own debt collection laws that are different from federal law. Your attorney general's office can help you figure out your rights under your state's law. If a debt collector breaks the law, you have 1 year from that date to sue that collector in a state or federal court. You can sue for damages that have happened because the collector broke the law, which damages could be several different things. The fees associated with it, the stress in attachment to some of the things, the money you might have shelled out if you paid for some type of assistance, legal fees, etc. It's a host of several things that can qualify as damages, and it may run up higher than you might realize. So you can sue for damages that happen because the collector broke the law. Expenses like wages or medical bills or compensation for the effect of the debt collector's actions had on your job or your health. So that's a pretty wide span of things. But even if a court finds a debt collector violated the law in trying to collect a legitimate debt, you may still owe the debt. So you just got to keep that in mind, because sometimes, there may be different things that allow them to say, okay, they did it the right way. They did have jurisdiction in your area. But if you're operating with a consumer law attorney, or you're following certain guides that can help you hold them accountable or make them have to prove themselves, then you're in a better position to win. Now, like I stated, if you stick around to the end, you will get access to a tool that can help you take your credit and take full control of your credit restoration journey. All you got to do is click the link in the description and stick around for more. Like I stated, this came directly from the Federal Trade Commission, and I got more of these coming soon. Mr. Smith, signing out. Salute.